I think that's much better. We should be okay.
Primarch's quality went pretty far down.
Okay, that's really strange. Should I just talk about it?
Any better? Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna rejoin as well now.
Okay. So, I thought of something while we were on break, which was taken from Adam's latest Roll20 Dungeon World one-shot, which you all should watch if you haven't. And the one thing that he did at the very beginning of the game while they were doing character creation, before they even did the intricate character creation, was they chose playbooks in Dungeon World like you do. And based on basically just that, he asked them a bunch of questions about what they would like to see explored in the game. I think that is a good idea to have sort of a thing like that in our game, to just talk about that. Sort of like, it's not as specific as a belief, it's just sort of a broad stroke character archetype. Like my character is the fighter. Your character, Golden, I can assume is sort of like the archaeologist. Then, if your character was a single word, or the something, what would it be?
Probably the agent.
The agent? Cool.
Yeah.
And so, based off of that, I was thinking that, just like Adam was asking the questions about what their character playbook tells about what they want to explore in the game, I think that could be the same thing about us. For example, your character, Golden, I would imagine him, and this is speculation, correct me if I'm wrong, I would imagine him like a medieval Indiana Jones. In Indiana Jones movies, it's not about getting the artifact. It's about competing, and it's about all the situations around getting the artifact, which is, I'm assuming, stuff like you want to explore with this one.
Yeah. Specifically, this is the archaeologist that's on the run from something.
Yeah. It's usually after you get the artifact that everything sort of happens.
Right.
In those movies. And I think that's a good step of what you wanted to explore. And that can be expressed in your beliefs, but also should be just a general thing we want to write down so we know. If it isn't in your belief, but it's in that sort of broad stroke character concept, then if a situation like that comes up, you'll probably want to make your belief about that situation that now came up.
If I don't at some point say, oh shit, they found me, then something is terribly wrong.
Yeah. For my character, he is the fighter, which means he is large, violent, and tough. However, he is also, he is like a blockhead as well. Like he has decent wisdom and low intellect. And so I'm interested in exploring what life is like for a person who can only fight but has no skills whatsoever. He is an unskilled laborer he can do basic stuff, very basic stuff, and is very good at that, and that's about it. That's why it took him 4 days to chop down a tree. He just kept at it, even though he was doing a terrible job. And I'm also interested in things like walking the line of how brutal of a person can you be but still be accepted by society, and B, because he was a former slave and former continental and fought in wars and a soldier, until he still doesn't technically consider himself independent. He was a slave, then he was a soldier, and now he works for Lord Edwin. And he really, there was a very brief moment between leaving the army and being hired on to Lord Edwin that he was free, and it never really dawned on him. And so I think that Golden, you said that Lord Edwin frequently wants to get Ernest to express himself more. I think that's part of his journey. I guess a person sort of discovering freedom for the first time. And other different things like that. Like her sister is out here. She's been here for years. She grew up as a slave, but she was never in the army. And so she probably is very different from him. What else? In the first couple sessions, I had a belief that Ernest didn't actually believe in the supernatural at all, and he thought the artifacts were crap, but that wasn't relevant. However, I think that's sort of still a thing about how does a skeptic fit into this whole ridiculously powerful magic artifact thing. They probably won't be a skeptic for long, which is fine by me, but I'm curious as to what those situations between then, what situations will happen. Like, this big red button doesn't do anything. Press. Yeah, things like that. So, those are the things I'm interested in exploring, and that's why I made Ernest as he is. That, and I've never really played a fighter, except in a one-shot with Tomb of Horrors. I wrecked face.
It's the Tomb of Horrors, man. You're not supposed to wreck face. GM was being easy on you.
I was good at I was good at Pathfinder. I like 3-shot a horrible gargoyle because I did like 50 damage in a single turn.
Good job.
I know exactly where you were in that dungeon. And
yeah.
Congratulations to you. Because I ran that for a couple people, and I mean, they got to the last chamber, but I was playing it by the rules of the old module, and that last chamber, man, there's no way out of it unless you're really, really crafty.
I think we never finished it because one of our players ran into the reverse alignment, the reverse everything portal.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And ran off with all their gold. So we were like, screw you, and ran after him instead. Her now instead.
Yep.
So, yeah, that happened.
It'll be interesting to see where all these characters go. How about this for a term for you guys? The history of the evolving game state. What is that talking about?
I don't feel that history is necessary. Just the.
I think it's more philosophy.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I don't think history is needed there because it's an ongoing thing, and so it's just the.
It's the
inertial.
Does only the game state change, or does how it's changing matter?
Inertial change of game systems and game design tropes. It's interesting. That being said, though, like this was made in like 2002 or something, so.
So I'm curious, Zen. Do you have things you want to explore, and why you made Nico as a character? Do you have that ready to spout?
I was settings wise. I was very interested in the subterfuge required for a clandestine operation to gather together a bunch of basically independent nations. And so that's why I built Nico into being an agent of this thing.
Right. So Nico's like a sub level of like Bond or Man from U.N.C.L.E. or something like that. Like he wants to be the shaken, not stirred. Like you know.
Yeah. So he's very much the socially active but still physically dangerous kind of person. Really, other than poking at things in the setting, I really didn't have any like ideological stuff for him, other than he very much values personal freedoms.
That's a huge thing to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in a feudal system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I figured that's where most of my focus was going to end up, and through exploring that, I'd find other facets of him that I found interesting. But like, I'm one of those people where I have to like be inside of the character for a little while before I actually know what the hell they're about.
I think an interesting part there, to go off of what I know about Nico's background for future GMs, is personal freedom versus family or clan loyalty would be an interesting point and part for Nico, especially if he ever goes back to his island.
Yeah.
That is definitely just
is there slavery
asking
on your island?
for stuff to be pursued. Well, it's a clan system.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it's the Scottish Isle.
Okay,
Caden, it's where Hugo Marving is.
Yeah. Wow, he fixed and all that. Anyways.
And I guess to enter in the new character, the new PC, I was just intrigued by the fact that they actually had stuff about like seafaring and ships in this system, because every time else I've seen it, it's either been tacked on or it's been horrible. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I am really interested in this. And so, sure, let's try a former mercenary / pirate / dude who's been on a boat his whole life. Like, let's see where we go with that. And, you know, to that end, like the idea of wanderlust and not being tied down to anything, because, like, you know, if we go back to like D&D tropes, like sometimes I kind of go like the druidic route where, like, you know, boo, civilization and stuff like that. Like, let's try it with ships. So that's sort of my interest in why I made Matrim. And I picked that name just because I like Wheel of Time.
Have you ever played Exalted?
I have not played Exalted.
You should check it out. It's the only other system I've seen which has much stuff about sailing.
I've heard good things.
Oh, and by the way, I know personally jack shit about sailing, so this will not be accurate in any notion.
You would think I know.
Fly in the air in space with sails. That's all you need to know.
The sail is actually a gigantic wing, and then it just after you get fast enough, it just flaps like an airplane. You know, it just
it's usually powered by hamsters. I'm told.
And somewhere in the ocean is the one piece that will make me king of all pirates. So I got that going for me.
And you can only use it if you have a boat.
And I think you're allergic to fruit, or you can't eat fruit.
Right.
Or you won't be able to be a pirate anymore.
But I don't get sick when I'm in a vehicle, so that's good.
Yeah,
but you do get sick when you're on land.
Then you get add your power to all of your hard tests.
Oh man,
pirates are
the
like
amount
mice.
of people who understood under all those references is very minimal.
I think there was like 5 different things you referenced.
Yeah, like One Piece to fairy tale to Apocalypse World to something else. It's very weird. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just that's where my ideas were coming from for my character. But
nice.
Zen, what's going on?
Oh, I have no fucking idea.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, to start out with, I was gonna give a little bit of transparency on some of the repercussions from previous that are going to potentially impact moving forward.
Yes.
Due to Sith and I had sat down and hashed out a bunch of this stuff, and as you've seen, there were some repercussions with your reputations with Bryansk. That is sort of an extension of what's going to happen, due to the fact that some of those guards survived. Ivan's body was not dealt with.
Actually,
Bryansk.
Sorry, I just realized something. The guards that survived, I believe they only saw myself and Nico. So would Lord Edwayne get that reputation?
I'm pretty sure that they interrogated the townsfolk.
Yes, he would get the reputation.
Okay.
If Zen doesn't cover it, ask me at the end and I'll tell you why.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, to give a little transparency as to what's transpiring as the PCs travel, those guards made it back to Bryansk. They gave a full, detailed report of what has happened. Bryansk now knows that Edwayne and the other two are in possession of something. And the Duchess of Bryansk was not too thrilled at the fact that her what was the position he held? He was Ivan was a member of the court.
Yeah, a low member, but still.
She wasn't thrilled that a member of her court was murdered and left in the middle of the jungle. So,
oops.
Really? I failed that role?
Who would have known?
He was just there, he was a witness.
I thought I made a roll
witnesses.
and he wasn't a noble, but okay.
Failed what roll?
I had made a noble-wise check early on to determine if he was a noble, and at the time he wasn't. I guess you don't have to be a member of the court.
Yeah, he wasn't a noble, but he was there as a
But he had the court life path? Okay.
Yeah.
He did not have a court life path.
Okay.
But he was working directly for them, Okay. So unfortunately, the Duchess has decided that that Path Askew is now a target. Her soldiers are currently marching. Bad things may happen. I will be really transparent with this. The only thing that stops them from all out war and totally obliterating Bryansk is the fact that Edwayne chipped out those relevant portions of text on the wall.
Nice.
They don't know what we took. They just know it's something good. They don't know what it was.
Nice.
Sweet.
But if they knew, they'd come in charge as they'd want.
Right, and I think Lord Edwayne still has all of Yvonne's notes, so it's not like they have a lot of stuff to go over really quickly to see what they missed or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely did not leave those behind. I took everything of value. And then some.
Let's see, what else is bad? I should have organized myself for this. There were a couple of other things that aren't going to go well. The reputation of the Continentals has been a bit tarnished in Skav, due to Ernest kind of bullying people around and cutting off a guy's leg and
I buried the guy that I killed.
Yeah, we found out what happened with that, right? I can't believe we passed up the chance to do a ditch digging check with them. Oh well.
Oh yeah, I did not.
And
the Panthers.
And Katarina is do you remember the healer?
Yep.
She's now working for the Duchess of Bryansk.
Figured.
Awesome. That was the one in Pskov, right? Not.
Yeah, that was the one who healed you.
Yeah. Okay, that was the one that I was trying to seduce back in the
No, it was not.
Okay, good.
No.
She has a really positive view of Continentals now.
Yes. I said trying, and by that I mean training.
She thought you were really
I'm reading romance novels, basically while I was in bed. I can't read.
Hey, when you meet Matcher, you'll be able to be like, "Hey, aren't you on the cover of this novel that I'm reading?" It's just him, with the wind blowing his hair behind him.
Exactly.
On the prow of his ship.
Perching on his, pirate saber.
Nice.
Bare-chested. But yeah, that pretty much covers
rip the bodices.
Yeah.
Instinct, rip my shirt off.
Yeah, I guess we've, not to take over Zen's conversation or anything, but sometimes there's been worries about ongoing conflicts not being covered. Is there anything Ernest or Lord Edwayne is worried about for a failed roll or a conflict or something to specifically ask if we have or haven't addressed?
Oh,
I can't recall. I'm not particularly worried about anything, to be honest. I just want to see what happens.
Okay. Well, I just know in passing, sometimes you guys have said, I'm not sure what some failures have done or not done.
Well, I mean,
I think the only question I have.
That's it.
Is it possible for my sickly trait to be removed? You don't even have to say how. Just is it?
Yes.
I have some ideas.
Okay. Yeah. Good. I want my health back. Though technically it advances faster now, and then I remove the sickly trait, and I don't know if that would get my health back, but I think it does because it's a sort of permanent thing, and so remove the trait, remove the whatever.
I don't think removing the trait removes the reduction.
It doesn't? It's just that I can. The limit is now higher again because it
removes the cap. Depending on the means.
Yeah,
I have to say depending on the means.
In my mind, one of the easier ways, right, is just to get it downgraded as a trait vote.
As just keep doing things that are health or physical related successfully, and then so it doesn't unsickly.
Yeah,
narratively,
it is kind of hard to
get therapy for it.
Narratively say I'm healthy, but
yeah,
if
do
you
healthy things,
right? If you can downgrade it to
I eat gluten free.
If you can downgrade it to a character trait, in my mind, I'm no longer GM anymore, but in my mind, that would negate any die trait effects, such as capping your health.
And then it still lets me farm fate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
However, sickly trait, man, dude, farm the crap out of that, right?
But
my god.
But I don't need fate. I have 12 fate. I need persona, and I'd get persona by accomplishing goals like the work or getting workhorse, which is not being sickly.
There's no point to engage with that mechanic.
I don't think.
The other thing you could be doing, since you have a plethora of fate, is we did rule that you can spend fate afterwards if you have sixes.
Yes,
I don't think
any sixes.
Well, I don't think that necessarily negates spending it beforehand and saying, I didn't get any sixes. You're still pumping fate into that skill.
Oh, you're right. And that eventually might lead to whatever it's called. Aristea?
Yeah, Aristea.
I wouldn't do that because you need deed points for that.
Right.
You do need deed points, but it's still something. I
guess to that end, when I gave you the sickly trait, when I gave you sickly originally, that was because of respiratory illness and stuff, and so while you're going to be easier to catch things naturally, any sort of breathing or that type of thing might be where sickly would show itself, or holding your breath, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think respiratory angled stuff is where I was going with the whole poison gas thing, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
If you want to play it up.
Well, you said originally it was my nervous system.
Yeah,
but has that basically been fixed, and now it's just my lungs?
I think to begin with it was mostly all your nerves, but it got to you through your lungs.
Okay.
However, I am not the guy who says yes. That will get you Artha.
There was one other question I have. Now, here's just a thing that we've never done. I don't know if anyone wants to do this, but if we keep each other's instincts in mind, do we want to take the time to sort of get used to this, because we don't do it right now, to ask, do you want to invoke an instinct or trait to get yourself in trouble in this situation? You're in a situation, you could roll, or you could blank. And
I don't think it'll be asked. I think it's up to the player to say, this instinct gets me in trouble right now.
But do we want to, because we're new to the game, do we want to remind them that they have that option? Because usually they assume, I can roll, then I must roll. That's what I do, at least.
Yeah, I think that's on the table in general.
I have an interesting side note to that once that question has been answered.
All right.
Yeah. I think if the table in general can help with that, because the GM's going to be all over the place.
Not just the GM, but just the players in general, the table.
The question you just raised is an explicit mechanic in Fate system.
Okay.
What was it again?
That is called a compel.
Oh yeah, compels.
Yeah. So the idea is that if you have some sort of instinct or what Fate calls aspects, someone could be I kind of did this with Nico with the gems and stuff earlier, where I was don't you have an instinct? Don't you want to? you could get some trouble, and to that end of like, if they had done that, I would totally give you Ortha for this.
Yeah.
And so that on some level, that's totally GM style, GM play, right? But I guess especially when you are unsure for preparing as a GM, if something challenges or not, you could be like, hey, I know this totally does. This totally affects something right now. Mm-hmm. Don't call BS on me because I am instituting this guy with this instinct in this setting. Like,
well, what's interesting is that
because like sometimes it might be like we're just not being specific enough as GMs, whereas like because like you could be like, no, man, I totally prepared for this specific belief interaction.
Yeah,
and the players are not understanding; they're not catching on to it. So I think personally, a little bit of nudging would work if we're not catching on to it.
Okay.
Like, I mean, especially with traits, right? Like, you could be like, someone's trait is totally being affected right now.
And
like, some people are going to have
traits, I think.
Yeah, some people have like a crap ton of traits. So a gentle reminder, I think, as a player now would be
like
beneficial.
A quiet trait.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a fucking quiet trait.
Yes.
Choo choo.
But anyway, that's the side comment I wanted to say to your question.
Cool.
Primarch.
There was one thing I'm going to say, and I'm forgetting what it is. So give me a while you guys talk.
All right. So moving forward, just so you guys have something to maybe sculpt some beliefs around. As you left the island, and I'm trying not to get too much in, because we'll go back over all of this like first session, but as you left the island, storms have started, winter is here, the monsoons are affecting the immediate area. It's going to take you about a month to get to where you need to go.
Nice.
I guess I have a basic question of when do I show up? Because we haven't really figured that out.
I have some ideas for that. Basically, I was going to have the group get to the island, figure out what all's going on there with the organization, and I think Matrim will have been contracted by the organization, depending on how you want to play it, because I know you have a long ship, but you don't necessarily have a crew.
There is a crew, but they're not important, so to speak, right? Like,
so you have everything. You're able to run everything you buy in RP points, so
right.
You have a crew for your long ship. It might not be like a full crew, but it can run it.
It's a crew, but like it's not one I interact with. Does that make sense? Because I remember explicitly asking this in Reddit once, like, because there's two different rules, like similar to Lord Edwayne's estate. He has a shit ton of people running his house and stewardship and everything, but he doesn't necessarily have like a relationship with all of them or an affiliation with all of them and stuff like that. And so I'm sort of ruling it the same way.
So it's just hand wavy until something happens that requires one of the crew members to rise above the others in importance.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I had two ideas on it. Either you and your crew were contracted, or you had a boat. They came to you and said, "We'd like you to do this thing, and we'll give you a crew to man your boat because of whatever the fuck happened that you don't have one now." So I mean, either way, they're nameless, mindless background people.
Yeah, I'm fine either way. Like,
okay,
and that intro seems fine to me. I was just curious.
Okay, so the thing I remembered I wanted to say was regarding the previous thing about like reminding each other. What's interesting about Burning Wheel, I guess this gets back to sort of the general game critique, is that unlike most other role-playing games, both the GM and players share the same goal, which is to challenge and explore the player character's beliefs, which I think is actually super cool, and also can help them share some common ground. That's it. Mostly GMs and other games have challenge and explore the player characters, and the player characters' goals are probably to win, or sometimes it's the opposite, where the GM is like, have the player characters feel like they're winning and get through the story, and one or two of those player characters are following along, and the other one or two are just screwing around. Because maybe it's just because they feel like screwing around, maybe it's because they want to explore a different direction than everyone else. So, and that's differing goals is a common, sometimes catered to, and sometimes game designed around thing in role-playing games. But it's not a thing here, which is cool. Okay.
All right. So, going forward into the next session, you guys are going to get to that island after about a month. There will be other downtime after that. We'll talk about whether that entails getting a job or what will go on there. But I think the main focus of the next session is going to be meeting with the organization, figuring out the relationship there between the party and the organization and how that's going to go. And they're going to have a couple of things that you might be interested in doing, maybe not. And from that point on, it's kind of up to you guys. I'll just be reacting to what your characters are doing. So
cool. We're now out in the open world.
Yep. Yeah, we're out of the beginners area, and now you can go wherever.
Tutorial completed.
We're in the hub world, guys.
Yes.
So yeah, there's plenty of stuff that you could do. I'll offer a couple of hooks if you're not interested. You're not interested. I don't care. We'll do other things.
And obviously, I'm kind of obligated to deal with the greenhouse situation, and that was curious to me anyhow.
You could. We'll see if what happens when we get to the organization, and they'll be either like screw you or sure we'll help.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the only two. I don't know if there will be middle ground. There might be.
We'll see.
Okay.
I know there is something I want to do on the way, but we can worry about that during downtime. We're going to discuss downtime too, right?
Next session, yeah.
Okay, we'll worry about that then.
Yeah, we'll do that between sessions because I don't know if we want. I don't know if you guys want enough time to get jobs, figure out that nonsense.
I was just training.
No, I mean for the first month when we go to drop off the artifact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the first month is stuck on a ship in rocky ass seas, so
not much you can do, but there is.
I can practice with my mace. Thank you very much.
I want to write an essay.
Theoretically, my instinct is to spend all free time practicing with my mace, but I think the normal practice thing is I can only spend a certain amount of time practicing with my mace. I assume that's probably first.
Yeah.
I probably know that after a certain amount of time per day, there's no point to practicing anymore with my mace.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Edwin's just going to write an essay about the ruins and the historical findings. Not mentioning the artifact at all, but historical information.
Yeah, it works.
Are you keeping a journal? Because that's actually a really good idea.
He's probably keeping a journal about his experimentations on the artifact, but that's not intended for publication.
Okay.
So
one thing that you would have noticed by now, or Edwin would have noticed by now, is as you travel, and I don't know if you guys are looking at the map, but as you travel in this direction, in sort of your northeasterly direction, the artifact itself is reacting a little bit.
What does that look like?
basically there's some kind of okay, when you're holding it in your hands, it seems at times to be sort of like a force feedback joystick. There's some resistance when you're moving it around.
Okay, but that's only if the boat is traveling to the northwest, like if it's pointed in a very specific direction.
No, just as you travel in this direction, it seems to slowly but surely intensify in that kind of
is it like
thing?
And it's not resistance to movement in a certain.
Or is it resistance to movement in any direction, or resistance to movement in a very specific direction? Like if I move it,
it's certain orientations you will get.
Okay. Is it going to fall off the boat if I don't tie it down?
Oh no, it's not like pulling at you or anything. It's just like when you're holding it in a certain place, it seems to be hard to pull it out of that orientation.
Oh, okay. It has angular momentum. There you go. All right, I understand.
I'm not going to say what that is. I assume you probably know what that is, Golden. I assume you know what that means, but I'm not going to say. We'll say that for next session.
Oh, what stuck means?
What that represents.
Not entirely sure.
Okay.
Stick in the mud.
I am earnest. I do not know anything about these magical artifacts. I don't even believe they're real.
Well, the player might have some meta-level thoughts.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily need to share, at least not till next session. So tune in.
Spoilers.
Got it.
Spoilers.
So yeah, that should give you guys enough to make some vague beliefs on, at least, I would hope.
Yeah.
I assume you
don't
know. Well, actually, Edwin, do you tell anyone about these vibrations, or you just you don't tell anyone?
What does Nico do to Edwin while they're on the boat? Does he avoid him? Is he constantly checking to make sure Edwin doesn't betray him?
You have a boat crew. You might keep like a guard on him or two.
If Edwin is paying for this boat, then also it'll be harder for them to come in.
Yeah, I think he's keeping an eye on you. He's not doing anything overtly threatening or horrible.
Okay.
In fact, he's probably trying to keep things as civil as possible.
Well,
he's probably being like no hard feelings and stuff like that.
Does he try and justify the organization to him at all?
We can get into that next time.
Okay.
Like we could have some seats on the boat.
I'm just curious. You can just narrate what happens.
But yeah, that's probably like
theoretically, Nico could just read Edwin's notes or publicly interrogate him about his findings. But those things aren't happening, it sounds like. So I'll have to think about how Edwin reacts to this.
Yeah, well, Nico's only concern at this point is that the artifact gets where it's going. He doesn't necessarily even care about the artifact. He cares about the organization being able to do what he needs to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the artifact isn't his purview.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah.
That's probably what scares Edwin, because he feels that they're probably too dangerous to be a means to an end.
He doesn't know what the ends of the organization are.
But you feel that the artifact shouldn't be used at all, right? Is that too dangerous? Is that right? Or am I wrong?
Edwin is worried that it'll be misused. But it's not so much about it being too dangerous as he thinks it may have some specific function that he needs to learn.
Okay.
If that comes up in conversation, Nico's probably more like, just talk to the guys when we get there.
Right.
Just talk to them about it, you know.
Yeah. I've kind of been working with Zen a little bit to update my own beliefs and instincts. They might change a little bit in the future, but I have one I'm kind of working on for Ernest, which probably needs some tweaking. Otherwise, we're just going to kill each other. But I think will be interesting to play out.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't looked at my beliefs because I knew we weren't.
I don't know if
play this session. So
right. I don't know how we're gonna tweak it or get introduced or anything, but for now that belief reads like those whom served in the war will pay their debts in blood.
Oh.
I will not abide Ernest's debt unpaid.
Oh. I'm changing all three of my beliefs. And
so yeah, I'm kind of working with that right now, but I might try and like hedge my bets, so to speak, so we just don't like stab each other a million times.
So I'm wearing armor. What armor are you wearing?
Absolutely none.
Okay.
Metal makes you sink, man.
Yeah, can't swim in metal.
Well, good luck. I can see why you want to change that belief. I think I'm going to keep my violence instincts the same then.
Yeah. That totally works, man. But yeah, no, like I'm thinking of some sort of like, we were opposing sides in the war at some point, and so we're gonna have some sort of
that's gonna
tension there to work with.
Yeah, I think that the tension will probably rise as soon as Ernest speaks for the first time, and you'll recognize the accent.
Yes, yeah. I will immediately recognize that accent.
But Ernest will probably not recognize you because you're another Islander.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how he feels about that.
So that's like the one sort of like player v player belief I'm working on right now, is some sort of beef with Ernest right now. Because fuck the continent.
Cool. Okay. It is 9 p.m. here. We have been on for 5 hours now.
Yeah.
Wow.
5.5. That's including the pre-show.
Yeah, we haven't completed the itinerary either. Are we going to do these things over the week?
Yeah. As far as the going over relationship stuff, I'm gonna. We'll get together about that in the coming 2 weeks.
All right, that's cool.
Yep.
I had a question about one of
reviewing
my
this
relationships. We can talk about them.
Okay. Yeah, as far as the other stuff goes, I mean, I think the only other thing was like reviewing the survey questions and stuff, but
yeah, that could be over really quick. Like, the basic like, are we still interested in this like pseudo Cold War, mutually assured destruction type vibe? Like, because that's sort of what our premise was. Like, do we feel that changing, or that sort of thing? And if the answer is no, then that's the conversation.
Yep.
I just thought it might be nice to go over that again.
As Nico, I'm still interested in it. As a GM, you guys are going to go where you're going to go.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see what we do.
Yep.
Thanks to anybody who's still watching. I hope you enjoyed all of our, I don't know what to call this, GM prep.
Fracas. It's a fracas.
It's a fracas. So, we'll see you next week. Oh, no, in 2 weeks. I don't think we're going to play next week. I've got jury duty.
And I'm house sitting. Right. And I have a friend over. How does it happen while I'm house sitting? I have no idea.
We'll probably be back.
Next session will be Sunday the 18th, I believe, unless other things happen.
Unless something else happens, unless the world ends. Let's hope it doesn't happen. All right.
That would suck. It wasn't even Halloween yet.
No. Yeah. Take care, everybody.
I want candy during the apocalypse.
Exactly.
The candy apocalypse.
As long as I have candy during the apocalypse, I will be fine.
Nice. We're constantly using energy, running away from the zombies.
All right.
Nothing beats the end of the world like a Snickers bar.
And we'll try and see if we can ditch Skype. But I don't have much faith in that happening.
I uninstalled that browser program because only it installed, and the actual thing I wanted to install never installed.
I think your download is corrupted.
Call your congressman. Oh, wait, you're in Canada. Call your parliamentary representative.
Call it a militia.
Okay.
It's MP.